We've all heard of Yuppiechef and their fancy spatulas and kitchenware and their groovy marketing campaigns and live recipe shows and cooking shows. But behind the scenes, there's a bit of magic that happens in a place that not many people find themselves, and that's the workshop and the storage facility and the factory of where Yuppiechef actually sends all their goods off from. And today we're joined by Noel Ross Gillespie, who's head of ops at Yuppiechef, to talk a little bit about the innovations and technology behind the operation. And so, Noel, you arrived at Yuppiechef at 2012, and the system wasn't broken, but there was a lot of improvements to be made.
We were growing very fast. They had just gone through so I started in January, and the Christmas rush is always the period of the most intense innovation and kind of survival of the fittest. So if a system's weak or aging, it's got to get changed in a fairly frenetic way. And so January and February is normally quite a reflective, contemplative period where you go, if this happens again next year and we haven't changed some major parts of this, we're going to break. And so I joined with that kind of sentiment that we've got a year to radically overhaul a lot of the systems. So it wasn't broken, but it wasn't going to scale. And that was a great big challenge. I mean, it was exciting, it was huge, it had the life or death implications.
The unique thing about Yuppiechef in terms of an e-commerce operation where people can buy a product online and it gets delivered that same day is that each order gets a signed card by a staff member at Yuppiechef that then gets attached to that order. How did that make the process a little bit more complicated?
A lot, in that you don't just find off-the-shelf warehouse management systems that handle customized sort of articles that have got to end up in the right box. So I think Yuppiechef as a business started in the tech age, started by tech people. It is a technology business after all. And there's a general belief that if we want to solve a problem, we probably have what we need in the building, and we can think about the problem and solve it rationally. So there's a culture and an acceptance of let's build it, in-house. And I joined with a very sort of early version of an in-house system which would be running a lot of the new processes. It was going to be written on a new server architecture. So in a sense, there was a big green field of opportunity. We could think big and plan something. So right from the get-go, we decided to go for a mobile system. I had to get ready. My sort of first goal was getting ready for the stock tech. And everything kind of just fell on from what we decided to do with tablets and kind of a very wireless setup. So the plan was to equip guys in the warehouse with a wireless device and a wireless scanner and be on a wireless system. And gradually, as we built the warehouse management system out, we would add things like this unique card has got to be tracked to this exact order, got to end up in the right pack box, got to go to the right person. That can't be messed up.
You brought one of your smartphone devices with you.
Yeah, we had an interesting. We tackled this a bit differently, and certainly it was budget related. But I'm also an engineer by trade, and so I like building things. And I was struck before I even started with this idea of, a phone or a device that we walk around with, and it's going to be tough to get out. But I can, it's an off-the-shelf Android tablet, and the thinking was the computing power that we take for granted is so underused, really, and for a little device this big with touchscreen, battery, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything built into it, and an amazing processor.
And that fits onto your arm like that, does it?
Yeah, correct. So the thought was, could we leverage something really cheap? And top secret disclosure here: the first tablets we bought were from Macro.
Yes.
The bigger tablets we bought for our dispatch were from Groupon. Okay. And that flies in the face of kind of buying proprietary warehouse management tools with a scanner and maybe a Windows CE sort of operating system built in with a very inflexible backend. So the thought here was, well, let's put a computer on people's wrists, let's put a scanner in their hands, and let's put them on a Wi-Fi network and see what happens. So
the key here is that you're building it all by yourself. You're not going and saying, let's go and buy a solution. You're saying, we can do it. We've got smartphones, we've got the technology. We just need to write the programming and to make it work.
Yeah, and we went through a couple of different roots with that. I mean, web-based and sort of thin client solutions obviously makes a lot of sense. So we could have simply used the browser on here and done everything in a browser sort of model. We opted to write Android custom code, so we wrote an app for the Android tablets. The opportunity there is that you're really interfacing with our hardware at a very low level. It's fast. It's very responsive. So, let me not oversimplify this. This was a lot of work and a lot of learning, kind of as we went. But I think the rewards have been great. And I think every time we pull something off, which would have been hard to achieve on a web page, we just go like, that was the right way to go.